Welcome back to the deep dive. We're plunging into a truly incredible piece of source material today, provided by you, our listener. Excerpts from Anne Rice's novel, Vittorio the Vampire.
That's right. And this is far from your standard vampire tale. It's a narrative deeply rooted in Renaissance Italy, wrestling with huge ideas about philosophy, theology, and a fascinating, complex perspective on the nature of good and evil.
Yeah, it's really rich stuff. So our mission in this deep dive is to go beyond just the plot. We want to extract the most compelling insights from Vittorio's own chilling account to understand not just the events of his origins and the horrors he faced, but the profound, strange new existence he describes.
hmm The novel itself has dedications from Anne Rice, but Vittorio, our narrator, he dedicates his story to the people of Florence, Italy. That immediately gives us a hint, doesn't it, of the journey we're about to take, a story born of that specific, kind of incandescent moment in history.
Definitely. Let's unpack this. So, Vittorio introduces himself right away. He tells us he's a vampire, incredibly old, 500 years, born in Tuscany, and writing his story from the ruins of his childhood castle.
Right, and he says he's doing this because he was challenged by those other vampires, the ones down in New Orleans he calls the Coven of the Articulate.
Ah, yes. And he makes it clear his story is different. He promises revelations that, the New Orleans vampires might not quite grasp.
Exactly. He establishes his voice immediately, too.
Hmm.
He explicitly says he won't use antique language.
Hmm.
He loves words, blending influences from the Renaissance with modern touches, even mentions, like Sylvester Stallone movie words.
Right. It's quite a mix. He notes his Italian accent is still charming, apparently quite effective on his English-speaking victims.
Yeah. And he also lays bare his state of mind. He's not happy. Despite being a creature of the night, he insists he still has a soul, an etheric visage created by a higher power entangled within him. He feels no amount of blood can drown its life.
Which is fascinating. He believes he suffers under a unique curse, but also shares a fundamentally human curse, knowing more than one can truly endure.
That's a key insight right there.
Hmm.
Rice isn't presenting just a monster defined by bloodlust, but a being tormented by consciousness, by existential pain. She's connecting his vampiric state to a deeper human condition of, overwhelming knowledge.
Hmm. He even brings in a quote from Sheridan Le Fanu, an author who delved into terrifying spiritual worlds, finding an eerie, inescapable ring of truth to the idea of a frightening spiritual reality.
Yes, but crucially, Vittorio pushes back against the idea of God being dreadful or the cosmic system being malignant. He's not just accepting a simple view of good versus evil.
No, definitely not. Even from his, horrific perspective.
Yeah.
So then he takes us back, sets the scene in his mortal life. He died tragically young, at 16.
Yeah. And he describes himself then seemingly vulnerable with hazel eyes, but also strong, maybe even over-muscular from training with battle swords and hunting. He could pass for a man from a distance, he says.
His family was incredibly wealthy, like feudal lords, ruling a mountain court in northern Tuscany. Fiercely loyal to the powerful Medici family in Florence, but largely self-contained behind these huge 30-foot thick walls.
And he hints their wealth might come from, valor in war, maybe even secret pagan treasures, adding this layer of ancient mystique to his origins.
He had a truly fascinating upbringing. Part of it was spent being educated in Florence, living in his mother's uncle's grand palazzo, learned Latin, Greek, philosophy, theology.
Right. And he absolutely loved the city's vibrant cultural life, the pageants, the plays, even taking leading parts like Isaac or the angel Gabriel, which he clearly relished.
And then he'd return to the country, enjoying the freedom and wildness with his younger siblings, Matteo and Bartola. He captures that vivid contrast, pining for the books and intellectual life of the city, but also loving the freedom of the woods, picking berries, listening to gypsy storytellers.
Yeah, he notes he had to mix with the people, even as nobility. He even admits to being a bit of a scamp in Florence, sneaking out to see festivals and processions.
We get these really sharp, almost contradictory portraits of his parents, too. His mother was spirited, beautiful, adored country life, but only knew Florence from a convent. Vittorio felt he never quite understood her. She seemed focused on outward appearances, distressed by his sister's messy hair. Hated his father, but depended on him.
And his father sounds like quite the character. Hysterically self-satirical, always funny, cynical but kind, loved luxury. Vittorio starkly notes their complex relationship, marked by her frustration over his rampant affairs, saying half the children in their villages were sired by him.
Wow.
And his blunt, maybe cruel assessment of her is just boring. It's a family portrait full of love, resentment, deep-seated issues, just painted with a few sharp strokes.
A particularly striking detail is their family chapel, built of beautiful, local blonde stone. His father commissioned pupils of the Renaissance master Piero della Francesca, known for his geometric perspective and serene, luminous figures, to decorate the walls with modern paintings of saints and angels from the Golden Legend. His older, more traditional relatives apparently hated this modern style compared to Giotto or Cimabue, but Vittorio found it terrifically exciting.
And this connects directly to his deep love for art, particularly the work of Filippo Lippi. Lippi, a Carmelite friar known for his, well, sensuous, humanistic depictions of religious subjects, profoundly moved Vittorio.
Right. He talks about being particularly struck by Lippi's Annunciation paintings, especially one with a physically perfect angel with peacock feather wings.
Yeah, and he links this to his own childhood experience playing the angel Gabriel in those Florentine plays, saying they added a little spice. He even saw Lippi once famously kept under lock and key by Cosimo de' Medici to ensure he finished a painting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and his father took him to see many of Lippi's works, including the Coronation of the Virgin, which made him feel like he'd nearly faint from shock and love. It's very intense.
Wow. And he sets all of this youthful experience against the backdrop of the Florentine Age of Gold under Cosimo de' Medici, a time of immense beauty, learning, cultural flowering, symbolized by Cosimo's efforts to bring classical texts to be translated.
But also a time of danger. He mentions the war with Milan, fought by hired mercenaries like the eccentric Duke Filippo Maria Visconti, apparently hideously fat and afraid of swords, but with his bizarre sense of humor, like pulling snakes from his sleeve.
Chuckles, goodness.
He contrasts Visconti with the heroic Francesco Sforza, a handsome, strong peasant mercenary son who became a duke and military leader. Vittorio notes how his father's view of Sforza shifted with the political winds, highlighting the pragmatic, often ruthless nature of the era's politics.
So even for families as powerful and protected as Vittorio's, the world felt perilous. Lords could fall, mountain regions could be invaded. This beautiful, intellectually vibrant world was also precarious and violent.
Exactly. And that precariousness shattered his world the spring after his 16th birthday carnival. Vittorio's account moves very quickly to the moment the horror truly begins.
Right. It starts subtly, doesn't it? Creeping warnings, the terrifying childhood dream about his siblings returning, and the sudden, unexplained abandonment of the lower villages on their mountain. His father noted it calmly, but acknowledged something was deeply wrong.
Then comes a particularly chilling detail. Amidst rising tension at supper, his father dismisses the old village witches as harmless, just sticking pins in dolls. It seems benevolent on the surface, but it felt like a deliberate turning away, maybe blinding them to the true nature of the threat, even as his mother seemed relieved.
The true turning point is the arrival of the strange signore late one night. This figure refused to enter the main hall, demanding Vittorio's father come out to the gates. Tall, dressed head to toe in old-fashioned dark wine-red velvet, adorned with matching red gems, rubies, or sapphires.
And carried a broadsword with an antique scabbard. Wore a cloak trimmed with strange, ornate gilt symbols like a star and crescent moon. Wouldn't step into the light of the hall, but seemed comfortable in the torchlight of the courtyard. His whole appearance is just off-kilter, unsettling.
Yeah, and this leads to a tense confrontation where his father, usually calm, becomes absolutely consumed by wrath, crying out for the figure to leave. In the name of God and our holy Redeemer, he forced the figure out and immediately ordered the entire castle secured, searched, heavily guarded.
It's a moment of desperate action born of sudden, profound fear. And adding another layer of vulnerability, Vittorio realizes his mother is pregnant again.
Oh, gosh. The family gathers in the newly painted chapel that space meant for solace, decorated with beautiful modern art, but now just filled with palpable dread. Armed uncles, praying aunts, his fearful younger siblings, Matteo and Bartola. The ancient traditions and the innocent waiting together.
Vittorio clutches his prayer books, his fine Florentine vellum books, the objects of his former life, now totally inadequate against the encroaching terror.
The attack comes brutally before dawn. Screams, alarms pierce the night. His father's final desperate act, grabbing Vittorio, pulling up the trapdoor to the crypt beneath the chapel, thrusting a candle into his hand.
They're pushing him and his siblings down into the darkness, ordering him to lock the trapdoor and stay safe. His father, uncles, and mother remain above. The aunts are unable or unwilling to move.
Trapped in the crypt, the sounds from above are horrific howls, cries of fear, rushing feet, the high, chilling whinnies of horses crashing into the chapel, the smell of fire. Then an awful, complete silence descends.
That contrast between the violent noise and the sudden stillness is terrifying. Then the trapdoor opens, and the creatures enter. The first is Ursula described as beautiful, slender, long hair, seeming to fly down the stairs soundlessly towards him.
His candle goes out. He feels her touch cool skin, tender breasts against his chest, her perfume, her strength. But he's confused. He can't reconcile this seemingly human woman with the horror. He gets knocked to the floor.
The horror culminates with the arrival of another figure in red, hooded, wearing gold-trimmed boots, the same one he saw at the gate.
Right.
This figure throws Vittorio aside and in a single brutal instant decapitates Bartola and then the screaming Matteo.
Oh my God. Vittorio's reaction is pure primal madness, howling, cursing them as strega, witches, attacking the killer.
Ursula intervenes, stopping the killer from finishing Vittorio, crying, "Leave him alone." In his rage and confusion, Vittorio attacks Ursula back, cutting off her hand, again yelling, "Strega!"
But then he witnesses something impossible, something that shatters his reality. She pulls her severed hand back, places it onto her wrist, and the wound just seals up perfectly into her white skin.
Wow, okay, that's the moment he knows.
Absolute, undeniable proof of their supernatural nature.
After the creatures leave, he realizes they are things of the night, who depart quickly at dawn, hearing their whistles. Vittorio is left alone with the bodies of his siblings, still holding their severed heads, which seem horrifyingly still alive for a moment before becoming lifeless.
He finds his family murdered in the courtyard, and on the stairs, swift work, throats cut, nothing stolen, not even the aunt's jewelry. But he makes a chilling discovery. Younger children were stolen, not killed.
This atrocity, the brutal murder of his family, the theft of children, for what? For what horrors?
Yeah.
It ignites a singular, all-consuming purpose in him, vendetta.
Right. He vows to find and kill them, and he immediately formulates a plan, realizing they are creatures of the night. He will use daylight against them.
He gathers what little wealth he can from his dead family, feeling like a thief, arms himself, saddles a wandering horse, and rides away. Just a boy, fueled by rage and grief, knowing too much, unable to even pass for a man anymore. This is the birth of the vampire killer.
His desperate journey takes him through dangerous woods. He narrowly escapes bandits, not with strength, but by quick wits, bluffing, pretending to be a Medici scholar, searching for books, throwing money at them, claiming a band of men was following him.
Clever use of his earlier education, right? Shows his resourcefulness even in shock. He reaches the walled town of Santa Maddalena at nightfall and talks his way in, again using the scholar story, seeking refuge.
At first, the town seems like a genuine haven, peaceful, prosperous, blessed. But as Vittorio spends time there, especially talking with a local Franciscan priest, Fra Joshua, and the priest's father, the innkeeper, unsettling details start to emerge.
Yeah. They speak of a miraculous prosperity, an utter bliss where the town is free of lepers, disease the sick die quickly, painlessly cripples, beggars, even bad youths. Nobody dares to make trouble.
This leads to a chilling insight. Unwanted children are taken away elsewhere. This includes infants from families struck by plague, supposedly taken to Florence or Lucca, despite those cities also being dangerous because of plague.
Right, the story doesn't quite add up. Vittorio's encounters with other townspeople confirm this dark secret. He sees a feeble-minded child tied up, hears daughters casually remarking an old man's suffering will be brief. It's a mercy.
And overhears porcelain dealers discussing a weak infant and a mother who should do it. He slowly realizes the horrifying truth. The town has made a terrible bargain, sacrificing its most vulnerable citizens to the creatures of the night in exchange for safety, prosperity, freedom from taxes, no executions.
His attempt to confess the horror to a young Dominican priest is met initially with shock, then dismissal. But when he speaks to the elderly pastor, a Franciscan with ferocious large eyes, it turns to outright hostility and a furious warning to leave.
The pastor calls him mad, threatens him with being burned as a sorcerer if he speaks of demons, revealing the clergy's deep complicity or terror. Vittorio argues, using St. Thomas Aquinas, the great theologian, on demons having bodies we can't understand, desperately trying to grasp his experience through theological frameworks.
But the pastor shouts, "You're in league with the devil," though later softens slightly, suggesting he's trying to save Vittorio from persecution, but insisting, "If I were you, I wouldn't stay here."
Driven by his burning need for vengeance, and now certain of the town's horrific secret and its connection to his family's killers, Vittorio climbs the ruined castle tower overlooking the town as night falls to watch, and then he sees it.
A vast, luxuriously lighted castle appearing on a distant mountain to the north, the direction he'd been warned about. He realizes this is the vampire lair filled with a fantastical quantity of candles. He mutters, "You think I don't know where your unwanted babies are taken?" Revenge is now the lure, pulling his mind from the pain.
And then he witnesses the horror firsthand. Amorphous shapes move from the distant castle towards the town, springing onto the walls like giant moths. The attack is swift, marked by chilling, audible laughter and cries. But no lights appear in the town. The townspeople are clearly hiding, abiding by their bargain.
Before Vittorio can react, a hooded figure in red and gold boots, the same one who killed his siblings, enters the tower and captures him, lifting him in a suffocating swaddle of fabric.
He struggles, plunges his dagger through the fabric, eliciting screams. He's hurled to the ground but gets his sword out and swings, gashing the attacker's chest with a sickening moist slosh. The figure screams, "Help me! He's a devil!"
The hood falls back. Vittorio sees a blonde face. It's one of them. In a rage born of grief and recognition, he beheads him again with his sword, shouting, "Ah, now you're dead, you're bloody dead!"
But then Ursula appears, rushing towards him, begging, "Don't hurt him, I charge you," followed by other male figures dressed like old-fashioned knights. In a moment of profound, disorienting confusion, she captures him.
He's absolutely powerless against her strength. She denies killing his family, saying she was only taking them, but he struggles violently. She holds him fast and begins his transformation. She kisses his forehead, strokes his cheek, enveloping him in sweetness and sensuous confusion with her perfume and cool skin.
She kisses him, pressing her body against him, her tongue entering his mouth with vehement force. He feels her bite, an icy hot fire entering his neck. His body feels light, airy, almost liberating and magical.
He experiences a vision of a blowing meadow of flowers, feeling this strange blend of desire and rapture. Despite his hatred and rage, he cries out, "I will destroy you," calls her Strega, but realizes he is utterly powerless, that she has complete mastery over him. This is the start of his becoming like them.
She draws back, tells him to go, she cannot make him safe forever, and disappears. But she appears again in the window, bares her breasts, scratches her left breast to make it bleed.
With her hand, she grasps his head and presses her breast into his mouth. Again, reality is swept away. They're in the meadow, she seems to ride him, and he sucks milk from her breast, feeling as though she is simultaneously maiden and mother, virgin and queen.
He cries out spells, prays for guardian angels. He realizes he wouldn't be alive if not for her. A strange calm settles over him. If he's gonna die, he'll get them first.
Transported to the vampire's castle, which seems less Italian fortress and more like a French court with old tapestries and furniture, Vittorio finds himself in the court of the Ruby Grail. They prefer speaking Latin or French.
He sees their chilling, ancient elegance, pale faces, exquisite clothing. Led by Lord Florian, youthful, blonde, with searing blue eyes and a regal bearing, and the elder, Godric, bald, elderly, with glowing gray eyes. He witnesses their formal, cold ceremony, the communion of blood.
He's dragged by Godric onto a high balcony overlooking the main hall. Below, the court sits in a string of lords and ladies, all in requisite burgundy red cloth, the color of blood. No human food or wine, just watchers observing circles of dancers. Grimaces of evil adorn the tapestries.
Godric tells him Ursula has asked they make him a member of the court as a reward for slaying one of them. Godric calls this her logic.
Vittorio refuses point blank, never. Join you, become one of you. He calls it a bloody court, asking how they came to be in this land. Florian replies they were there centuries before humans. Humans are the invaders.
He dismisses Vittorio's father's murder chillingly, saying they let him live as they let a stag live. It's no more than that.
But Vittorio challenges them, calling them fools for letting the town know they come by night but not day, proclaiming he will take the citadel by daylight. This provokes wrestling, demands for his death or torture.
Godric shouts for silence, says he should be put in the coop with the rest, predicting that in a night or two he won't even remember his name. Ursula sobs, blood tears falling, and Vittorio, despite everything, tells her not to cry.
The coop is horrifying. A huge courtyard with French-style windows, lit by torches, a drunken labyrinth of a garden gone wild, filled with dazed, degraded human beings, the ones sacrificed by the town, children, old women, cripples, hunchbacks, twisted bodies, along with men and boys.
Kept like livestock in hovels, fed a blood brew from kettles simmering on coals. Scrawny demon servants roam, one carrying a mewling human toddler. This is the brutal reality behind the town's miraculous prosperity.
Vittorio feels a ravenous hunger, a thirst for the brew. He watches the lords slash their wrists, letting blood flow copiously into the kettles. Then the demon servants slash their wrists and bleed furiously. The humans gather, dip their cups, drink. Soft, horrid laughter echoes from the balconies.
A lady drops from above, adds her blood, calling the humans, "My darlings, my little chicks." It's a grotesque parody of communion, reducing humans to a drug source.
During this ritual, Ursula, against the court's wishes, continues her strange obsession with Vittorio. She begs Florian to let her have him for a few nights. He's put in the coop, given the brew by a scrawny boy who tells him to drink it, feel no pain because they'll kill you soon enough.
He hates the loss of time and reason, but drinks. He wakes later to Ursula feeding them more blood directly from her mouth, an overwhelming gush filling him with a searing, thrilling sweetness. He feels ravaged, wants the Meadovision, but it doesn't come. This is the core of his transformation, forced by her.
He's then taken to what they call midnight mass in a grotesque chapel. Beautiful marble, high windows, but adorned with demonic imagery, demons dancing in hell, fanged statues. Scripture is twisted. Augustine's words about absence from God are changed to glorify freedom. Lucifer presides.
An upside-down cross is placed near the altar, implying his planned sacrifice. He hears their chilling anthem about victims giving their lifeblood and souls in their dark service.
He's brought into the sanctuary. Florian, in a rich red chasuble, and other priestly figures await. Victims, old women, men, little boys are driven up the aisle, shuffling, clinging to the demons escorting them, like piteous trial victims.
They're washed in a beautiful pink Carrara marble fountain. Oh, abominations to make it so beautiful. He sees children stripped, tiny bodies trembling, led naked to the communion rail, standing, trembling all, blazing with carnal human color.
Court members take victims, drink from them, pass them along. Florian drinks from child after child. Blood infuses their pale faces, making them look briefly human. Florian calls Vittorio young prince, saying they are incarnated again with the blood. Vittorio replies, "I do not forgive it."
Just as he's about to be sacrificed, Ursula intervenes again, spiriting him out of the choir loft. He hears voices from the loft, the angels, Cetheus and Remiel, heard only by him, questioning if he can be saved. Can this one not be saved?
The court votes to cast him out. Ursula steps forward, draws her immense red veil, throwing it out like a cloud. An acolyte appears with Vittorio's sword and daggers. The angels' voices implore again, one soul released to go forth into the world, mad and bearing witness.
The chorus sings a swift affirmation. Vittorio's is confused, what not to die? The golden cup is forced to his lips. Ursula opens his jaws, pours more blood down his throat. The red veil swirls about him, covers his face like a witch's web.
Godric whispers in his ear, cast out to madness. This is his strange, terrible salvation from death. The choir is jubilant, singing, forgiven, cast out.
Vittorio wakes naked and confused in the Piazza della Signoria in Florence, babbling clumsy Italian the strangers don't understand, trying to find Filippo Lippi's shop or Cosimo's house. He's found lying in the rain, guided towards San Marco Monastery by kind merchants.
And it's here, as the morning light fills his eyes, that the truly extraordinary happens. He sees angels, two luminous figures, Cetheus and Ramiel. He realizes they are real guardian angels, and only he can see and hear them.
He recognizes them from Annunciation paintings, noting their halo-like light, bodies made of more rarefied fabric, wings like peacock feathers and gold dust. It must have been overwhelming.
Absolutely. They reveal the reason he can see them. He drank the demon blood, he's been touched by the other side, and now his eyes are open. They tell him, God has played such a game with you.
Wow. So his damnation has paradoxically given him this unique spiritual sight. But he also learns the angels are limited. They can't directly intervene to fight evil stemming from human will. They were sent to keep him from self-destruction, madness, and to make him see.
He initially fears this angelic vision is just part of the demon's curse. Seeing Lippi's fresco of the Annunciation in the monastery, he calls it my painting, seeing it now as an omen.
He also learns about Filippo Lippi, his favorite painter, being tortured on the rack for fraud, accused of selling a painting where his apprentice did too much work.
Yeah, the angels are distressed by this. Oh, it is unbearable, showing their charge of suffering. But they can't simply save him from indignity or temptation, stating, we are only angels, and we do not have to accuse Filippo. We are not accusers, we are guardians.
That really underscores their limitations, doesn't it? And the messy, imperfect nature of the world's suffering. Vittorio is horrified by Lippi's fate, throws up the bloody stream of filth from the vampire's blood, doubts everything, hearing demon whispers calling him witless and scorned, mad when he might have been immortal.
Vittorio, consumed by vengeance, desperately wants the angels to help him destroy the vampires. He argues with them, using texts from Augustine and Apuleius on demons and souls, finding the monk's library unlocked at night.
He reads Apuleius, who wrote that the souls of evil men become lemures or larvae, malignant demons. And he finds Augustine and Plotinus discussing demons having eternal bodies, suggesting they're fixed in their evil state, unlike mortals.
He sees this as proof that the creatures who destroyed his family are damned beings he is justified in destroying.
And then another figure appears, Mastema, the tempter or accuser, who's also present and has been listening. Why do you choose the left? As Vittorio turns to grab Augustine.
Mastema appears immense, winged, terrifying, but strangely compelling, speaking with the same modulated control as Florian. Mastema confirms he cannot slay the vampires himself. God has given me no leave. That battle is Vittorio's.
But he agrees the angels can help by opening the stone crypt where the vampires sleep by day.
Ramil warns Vittorio about the potential cost. Can you kill what you love? Cetheus argues Mastema can be swayed as God can be. Mastema challenges whether the miracle of seeing them will uphold Vittorio's nerve or break him.
Vittorio vows to destroy all the vampires. Mastema tells him the monks will have fresh clothes, polished weapons, and clean boots ready at dawn, a chilling, almost ironic twist of divine or demonic assistance.
Transported by the angels, Cetheus and Ramil are present, Mastema too. They return to the vampire castle during the day. The drawbridge opens, gates groan back. Mastema points with his sword to the crypt door. Vittorio enters the vast, earth-walled crypt.
Finds the vampires lying helpless, sleeping in open rows, no coffins, exquisitely dressed, covered in thin shrouds of spun gold.
He begins the massacre. Pulls off the shrouds, sees them stir even in sleep, fights their rising arms with the veil, beheads them with his sword. Godric Florian, hearing his name, eyes snapping open all the court, the dancers and lords and ladies.
He describes the gruesome work, the blood, the horrifying sight of their bodies shriveling, piling up the heads which are crisping and sizzling, greasy and blackening, emitting smoke, eyes melting. Mastema urges him to be quick, says he has 20 more to do.
He reaches Ursula's bier, and here he hesitates, pulls off her veil, sees her sleeping face, hair making a nest, wearing a gold-embroidered dress, a tiny golden circlet. He just cannot bring himself to kill her.
He throws his rosary amber beads, gold crucifix at her. It lands on her breast. Her eyes open, full of light and tears, but she remains helpless in her daytime sleep.
He decides to stay with her in the crypt, offering her a chance at repentance, a mutual acceptance of death. Feels he owes her this because she saved him twice. Wants them to pray, confess, disavow their nature, accept death together.
But the angels disappear. My angels had gone, unable to remain for this choice. Mastema disappears too, saying cryptically, God has played such a game with you, Vittorio.
However, when she wakes fully as twilight falls, he'd fallen asleep at her feet, only to wake as she stirred. It is not repentance she offers. Stands over him, the rosary around her neck, eyes full of starlight.
She tricks him again, feeds him more blood from a deep, dark kiss, a searing, thrilling sweetness, an overwhelming gush. The meadow vision returns briefly and vanishes. The transformation is complete. My eyes struggled, grew wide. The sunlight filled them. My body, so full of her blood, echoed off stone walls.
He wakes, now fully one of them, his white hands outstretched, raging at her trickery. Witchlet, monster, larva, you tricked me! Escapes the crypt, leaving obstacles, confronts her in the church. In a rage fueled by his new bloodthirst and betrayal, he destroys the Lucifer statue in the chapel with his sword, crying, "Wretch, I thirst!" She begs him not to kill her.
In a final, terrible temptation, she brings him a human child from the coop, a feeble-minded one, offering it to him to feed from, describing how pink and succulent he was, how like the roasted pig.
But seeing the child through his newly opened eyes, he sees the child's soul as flaming gold light, a spark of the Creator, a subtle body of light, a precious and unquenchable fire. He pushes the child away, refusing that path.
That's the first indication, isn't it? That his curse might also be a strange gift.
Exactly. They leave the castle together, now a vampire pair. They don't burn Santa Madalena. Instead, they hunt the town, which quickly empties as people flee. Vittorio learns to feed, and with his new vision, he can even discern the sins of his victims as he kills them, talking to them as he hunts. Did you think your game would go on forever? Did you think the thing you fed would never feed on you?
Ursula, however, cannot bear the suffering of the hunts. She has no stomach for such sport. She spends time instead playing with the few remaining orphan children, cooing to them, telling stories in French, singing old songs in Latin, another layer of complexity in her monstrous nature.
In a poignant moment, Vittorio returns to the deserted inn in Santa Madalena to speak with the old Franciscan priest, Fra Joshua, and his father. He offers the priest the only clean thing. He feels he has left his testimony that he saw angels, as real as we are, and you have seen us.
The priest regards him thoughtfully, believes him, even offers absolution.
But Vittorio and Ursula refuse absolution, stating simply that they plan to sin again as soon as we possibly can. The priest's father notes that what separates them now from a good confession is weakness and the fear of hell if they must give up their lives.
Ursula asks to leave, saying there is no more Santa Madalena, a final acknowledgement of the Count's self-inflicted demise.
They return to Vittorio's ruined family castle, find his dead family buried in the crypt, learn his inheritance is being sent to Florence by Medici clerks. Vittorio knows he will return when humans abandon the place, stating he must have something of what there was, a lingering attachment to his lost life.
Back in Florence, the uproar over Filippo Lippi's scandal continues, mirroring the world's complexity, a great artist caught in very human frailty. It's here, showing Ursula Lippi's closed workshop, that the angels Cetheus and Ramil appear again, emerging right from the canvas itself, unraveling from the tight weave.
Ursula gasps, her hand going to her lips. She sees them too now, confirming their reality. The angels look at him with sadness and condemnation, but refuse when he asks them to punish him by taking away his eyes.
And then Mastema appears, immense and demanding, revealing the final, terrible truth, the core of Vittorio's curse. The spark of the power that made all of us is the human soul, a subtle body of light, a precious and unquenchable fire within each human.
Mastema says Vittorio will now always see it forever.
He runs through Florence, seeing this intense golden light emanating from everyone, knowing he will always see it. Mastema delivers the final blow. Every time he feeds, every time he raises a throat to his fangs and drinks, he will see that light flicker and struggle, and when the heart stops, he will see that light go out.
This is his true, agonizing curse, the terrible, undeniable vision of the soul in every human being he hunts. Reaching the Arno River, he cries out in grief, seeing even a child beggar glowing with brilliant and priceless light.
What an incredible, haunting story. 500 years of existence, forged in horror and vengeance, marked by a strange, complex bond with Ursula, and burdened with this impossible, tragic vision of the human soul.
Yeah, really powerful stuff. Vittorio describes himself and Ursula now as demons, damned, bound together. But he questions if his experience and the act of writing this story, making this narrative like a work of art, has its own value.
He writes of the indefinable and celestial gold that will forever burn bright, that he now sees in every human being, contrasted with the bloodthirst that is never satisfied. He sees this golden light surrounding, holding, encasing, dancing with people, even though they themselves may not see or care about it.
The source material concludes with Anne Rice reflecting on her inspirations, including St. Augustine. She quotes him from The City of God, where he suggests God wouldn't have created creatures knowing they might do evil if he didn't know how to put them to good use, to enrich the course of the world history by the kind of antithesis which gives beauty to a poem.
Rice believes it's worthwhile to try to make a painting, a novel, or a poem out of such complexity.
Which leaves us with a truly powerful question, drawn directly from Vittorio's experience and the author's reflection. If Vittorio's existence, born of damnation, marked by this terrible soul-seeing curse, is the antithesis, the dark contrast in a divine or artistic poem,
What does it mean that he, a creature of profound darkness and bloodthirst, is perhaps the only one who can truly see the celestial gold that burns in every single one of us? It's a vision that simultaneously damns him and reveals the sacredness of the life he destroys. Definitely something to mull over.